What is going on, YouTube people? Northeast Ohio Cards and Comics here today for the weekly market update. Got some news stuff, got some update stuff, got some charts and graphs. Gonna hit a little bit of all of it. Had another local show yesterday, made a really nice trade. Even for both of us, but picked up a really nice card. I will do a I have a ton of packages coming in early next week. Do a massive mail day / card show pickup because I have things that I picked up the weekend before the card show that I haven't talked about yet on camera, so we got to do that. It was not super busy like the one the previous week, but we had really bad weather on Friday and it bled into Saturday. So I'm going to chalk it up to some of that because it was pretty miserable here on Friday, and a lot of roads were not cleared by Saturday morning. Even my road did not get cleared until late Saturday morning. So I can understand why foot traffic was down a little bit there. I have another show potentially today in Youngstown. I don't know that I'm going to make the drive for it. And then there is another Cleveland show next weekend in Strongsville, Ohio. So we are very blessed here in Ohio with small local shows, like 50 to 150 tables. They're like every week, it feels like. It's kind of nice. So I got some card show pickups. I got a ton of mail coming in. It's been wild times here in the old compound. News stuff. We got the Marks card situation. Did the update video late Saturday afternoon about that. It looks like PSA is going to take care of those people. Very quick take. If you want the full take, you can go check out the video. Good on PSA. They probably screwed this up, letting him get so far behind in payments, but it seems like they are going above and beyond to make things correct. So good on them. Good PR move for them. They come out looking pretty decent in all of this with what they are doing. They're going to grade the cards for free. Once again, I encourage you to go check out yesterday's video. Update stuff. Market Movers. Friend of the channel, Market Movers. Been a long time user of Market Movers. Has a sneaky update coming. I don't think they've talked about this quite publicly yet, but it's in there. Marvel cards are now starting to filter into Market Movers. It's not fully up and running yet, but there is some Marvel stuff in there, it looks like. 90 Marvel Universe is in there. Impel PSA 10s. You see I got that pulled up on the screen right here. Got a chart any card, or price movement by card, rather, and I have the data pulled up there that you can now track and add to your collection with single clicks of buttons, not using the chart any card feature. 1990 Marvel Universe, and they have also begun to add, they're not all in there yet, but what do we see here? The hottest things in the world, the PMGs. That's right. So far, 2013 and 2015 PMGs are in the system. More are coming, and other Marvel cards are coming to the platform as well. So good on them to roll this out. I know I have been in their ear for a while on, can we get some Marvel cards up in Market Movers? And they are beginning to transition those in. So good on them. Preview for video tomorrow. I think it's going to end up being tomorrow. eBay. There was an issue in shipping a very high dollar card from the authenticator to a buyer. I will leave it at that for now. I am still doing my due diligence on that one, but that will most likely be Monday's video talking about that. It was a very, very nice card, and little sketch the way it got shipped. I shouldn't say the way it got shipped, probably the way it got packaged by the authenticator. Really, we're never really going to know, but we'll talk about that in tomorrow's video, so I don't want to go too deep down that rabbit hole. We were 1 week away from the Super Bowl. Prices are beginning to affect it. So before we dive into charts and graphs, let's hear a quick word from our sponsor, friend of the channel, MySlabs.com. I actually was on a live stream with Ken, the main man over there at MySlabs.com, or one of the main men over there at MySlabs.com. He was on with Dakota at Sports Cards Anonymous late last week on Thursday night, I believe. And he was talking about a bunch of features and updates that are coming. We all know raw cards are coming, and a few other little tricks. And I gave a pitch to him on a few ideas that I'd like to see on the platform. I hopped on for probably like the last half hour to 45 minutes of that stream I popped on. So quick word from our sponsor at MySlabs.com, and then we will go ahead and dive into charts and graphs.
Tired of paying 10%, 15%, or more to sell your cards, comics, and digital collectibles? How does 1% sound? Too good to be true? Well, not anymore. MySlabs.com is the web's premier user-driven marketplace for buying and selling slabbed cards, sealed wax, and now slabbed comics and digital collectibles. So the next time you're forced to pay 10% or more to sell something from your collection, head over to MySlabs.com and join the 1% revolution.
Thank you once again to our friends over at MySlabs.com for sponsoring today's video. One other thing that I forgot before we get into charts and graphs. I am 100% confirmed. I shouldn't say 100% because, life could happen. 99.9% confirmed for the Culture Collision show at the end of February. That's right. I will be in attendance at the Culture Collision show in February. The plane ticket is booked. The hotel room is booked. So pending life, I will be in Atlanta and I am excited. I'll be there Friday and Saturday, fly back home on Sunday. So it'll just be a quick little 2-dayer in and out. I'm talking to Flipping Steve right now to potentially maybe share a table space or and by a table space, I mean like a 1/4 of an inch. So I don't want to say set up because it's Steve's table. I may be slightly sharing space or using that as a home base with Flipping Steve. And I believe he is sharing space with Roth Cards and Kenny Fornos and probably Taxi and the rest of that crew. So worst case scenario, I'll be hanging out with those guys for a while. I'll see if Steve will let me rent a row of his display case from him or something to maybe throw some cards out, and we'll kind of see what happens. So Atlanta's going to be a blast. I know 1 billion people going, both in the sports card world, the Marvel side. There's going to be a lot of people there. So I'm excited for the Atlanta show. My first really big show since the National. I had Chip Shawana in the middle. That's about a 200 table show. This show seems a lot bigger with a lot of personality to it. So excited for that. Let's go ahead and dive into market movers. Link in the description down below. Coupon code the whole 9 yards if you want charts and graphs of the fancy version all for yourselves. First up, Joe Burrow, PSA 10 silver. This card has really took off this past week. Last week when we looked at this card, they were ending at about 4,500. Not anymore. They are currently up to just under $6,000. When I say just under, I mean just under, like as in 5,998. So it is sitting right at that 6K mark. Very low pop on these, 109. There are no bins cheaper than I believe 7K, and there's 1 or 2 auctions running on this card right now. So we will see where that goes and what this card does between now and next Sunday, the day of the actual game. So Burrow silver, and Burrow in general, to be fair. When I looked at the football price movements by card chart, it was Joe Burrow, Joe Burrow, Joe Burrow, Joe Burrow, a little bit more Joe Burrow, and then some more Joe Burrow, all going up. Just huge green everywhere. Green. So his stuff continues on its spaceship travel to the moon. We will see if it makes it there or if it comes crashing back down Apollo 13 style and they have to return back to home base. But I'm extremely curious to see what happens. We talked about it in the football video earlier this week. If they win, what do his prices do? If they lose, what do his prices do? In the past, they have basically always gone down pretty much no matter what, with maybe a little extra kick before they go down if they win. Maybe Burrow breaks the mold. I don't know. It's always dangerous to use past data to predict the future, but that's what we do around here. We'll see what happens. My general advice has been take profits on some stuff, maybe hold your nicer stuff for longer and see what happens. But at least, I was talking to a friend that I see at the show all the time. He just got a bunch of Prism base back from PSA, along with a couple of nicer cards. They're coming back. And he said he's basically selling all the Prism base and hanging on to, there was like 1 or 2 color matches or something in there that he was going to hang on to and sell the rest this week. So Burrow. Continuing down the football path. Let's look at Stafford. Just real quick touch here. 2009 tops. I just went with his base. There's not a lot of sales on his Chrome. And this is over the last 30 days because I just wanted a little bit of a bigger snapshot. It's up 122%, 200 to 445. Over the last week or so, it's actually trending down. You can see this chart peaks on February 1st and has actually gone down since. We got a 480, 465, and a 445. So I don't know if that's indicative of people think the Rams are definitely losing, or that people are just into this stuff so cheap and they're just looking to take profits, or just that Stafford's just not getting as much buzz as Burrow is. I mean, Stafford's the old dog. Him winning a Super Bowl would legitimize him a little bit, but Burrow is getting all the love and all the hype. So Stafford stuff, though it is up over the last 30, the last 7-14, not so much. Not like Burrow. Not like Burrow. Mahomes, how's his prices hanging after their elimination from the NFL playoffs? Down very slightly. Very, very slightly. Optic Hollow, PSA 10, only down 4%. Prism Silver, down 2%. Curious to see what this does. I went back 14 days on this, or actually like 10 days. I wanted to get a little bit before the actual game itself. So curious to kind of see where this stuff ends up, if it dips at all, or if it just stays, relatively flat with very, very slow downward trend lines on this. I feel like if we were going to see a massive drop, we would have seen it. Maybe that's not the case. Very interested to track his stuff as we move closer and closer to the Super Bowl, and more attention leaves Mahomes and focuses on the players still playing. A couple auctions start slipping through. That's the thing. If you have Mahomes right now, you're probably not selling it at auction, and you're probably listing it at bin/best offer and probably high. And most people aren't gonna, pluck down the cash for a player that's not playing anymore, and frankly just doesn't have the eyeballs on him. So it's just gonna be kind of whatever auctions come up, and do they slip through, or does the market say no, Mahomes has a certain floor level that we're not going to let him fall beyond. His Hollow 10 took a little bit more of a steep dip, but one hasn't sold for a few days, so I think we'll have a better idea on this like in another week or two what it's really doing. But so far in the short term, it's holding, but we'll see. Finally, on the football side of things, and we are going to be a little football heavy today on the charts and graphs, we're going to broadly speak about baseball and take a little bit of a different tack with basketball. But it's the week before the Super Bowl. It's a football heavy time. Brady announced the old retirement the other day. Officially, we had the unofficial release, a couple days before that. I pulled up his Bowman Chrome and his Bowman Paper, PSA 10 and PSA 9, just because these are such pricey cards. The 9s transact a little bit more. So there hasn't been super recent sales, at least not for the last couple days, but his 10 was dipping. Now, I'll tell you right now, so this one sold at $18K. There are auctions going right now, one of which actually ended later tonight. I believe I'm recording this Saturday afternoon, early evening. There were auctions on this running that were already at or slightly above this $18K mark, so that number is going to go up. Same with the base, the PSA 10. One of those hasn't sold since January 30th. So I'm focusing more on the PSA 9 trend lines, and that they're the more acquirable cards in the grand scheme of things, they're not $20K cards. They're $4,000 and $7,000 cards instead of $18,000 and $12,000 cards. But his 9s are slightly trending up, and we have recent sales on those all the way up until today. That's the paper base is up 20% and the chrome is up 10%. So curious to see what the 10s settle in at. Once again, this is kind of like the Mahomes situation that we just talked about. I'll be interested to see like in another week as we get a few more sales. I will say Brady stuff is super liquid and super hot right now, even if prices aren't reflecting that, as in going like astronomically up like Joe Burrow style, but his stuff is moving. If you want to sell a Brady card, you can move it fast. Same with Joe Burrow, except his prices are actually going up. I assume what's going to happen here, and I shouldn't say assume. Brady is the one that always breaks the rules, so I really don't know what's going to happen. My best guess is, at worst case, he flatlines to just kind of slowly tick up. It's just going to be a slow and steady. I don't see his market dropping at all. Worst case scenario is I think it stays perfectly flat with very slow tick ups over time. I think that's kind of where we're at. There's not going to be a significant event now to spike his prices until the Hall of Fame. And if you're buying Brady on a Hall of Fame announcement, like, what are you doing? Like, are we serious right now? Of course, he could walk into the Hall of Fame tomorrow and they would give him a whole room. So what is there going to be to really jump his prices up other than the slow and steady rise of his cards just coming off the market. Now, even though this stuff's not moving up like astronomical rates, his Contenders Ticket Auto, I linked to it the other day, set the record for highest eBay sale ever at 2.3 million. So that card's doing just fine. But that's really it for the football stuff right now, focusing on the quarterbacks here as we lead up into the Super Bowl week. Very curious to see what almost all these exact same cards look like next Sunday as we get 2 weeks away from the conference championship games and right before that Super Bowl game. So, and then I'm sure interesting times in regards to what prices do the week after the Super Bowl for the players involved. Let's hop over and talk about basketball real quick. I took a little bit of a different approach this week. I was curious about something that I normally look at, and then I kind of fell down a well of other stuff. And it kind of led me down this path, and that's what we're going to run with this week. So instead of looking at a bunch of different basketball cards, and part of the reason why I'm doing this, if I could find time this week, I would like to do an old school NBA market video, just spend the whole 15, 20, 25 minutes just on basketball and kind of look at what prices have done over the season so far over the last 30 days. But for the purposes of this, Ja and Zion, these two are always going to be linked to each other, always going to be compared to each other. It is what it is. What I was curious about, because I always go in and look at their Silver Prism PSA 10 prices and kind of compare, to Ja, Jump, Zion, and he has. But the gap is still pretty close, as I'll show you in a second. For some reason, I was just curious what base was doing. And you can see here, the pink line is Ja Morant's Silver Prism. The blue line is Zion's, base Prism. Base, not silver. The pink line, purple line, is Ja's base Prism PSA 10. The blue is Zion's. Now, Zion has ever slightly so more pop, but it's not that much more. It's like 600 more. They're both 20,000 cards. Ja's slightly under, Zion slightly over. So it's not like there's a massive population difference between these two bad boys. There's about 20K of each one. Now, as you notice, they switch spots here in early January. Right after the first of the year, they flip. They stay very close together, and then Ja has just been on an absolute tear the entire month of January. He's just been shredding the league. Every time I look at Twitter, it is a different, absolutely nonsensical Ja Morant highlight of a pass, a spin move, a dunk, something crazy. The month of January has been Ja Morant month, basically. His Prism base price has actually shot up. And very consistent. I mean, look at this last couple weeks here. Just one right after another, right up each day. And once again, very high pop card. So for the price to move like that is really saying something, that his base Prism is shooting up that much. If we go back, so this splits here. Let me just fire this in at January 1st real quick and look at the percentage differences on Ja versus Zion. Ja's base Prism is up 40% since the first of the year. We don't talk about base around here very often anymore. That's his base Prism is up 40% since January 1 when these two flip-flopped, essentially. They actually flipped on January 4th to be precise. So let's run that from the 4th just for the hell of it. So since they switched, he's up 51%. Zion's up 9%. So basically, Zion's sitting at the $200 level. Ja base Prism is almost up to $300. That's a pretty nice return on a base Prism, I'm not going to lie. Now, the interesting thing is, let's go over here and look at the silver. Notice how much different that looks. Let me go back over here and put this back on the 90-day. Now, you can see they cross, and then the base takes off and really splits off. But look at this one. This is the exact same time range. Pink is Zion, or pink is Ja. Blue, I'm sorry, actually, this is backwards. Blue is Ja, not confusing at all. Zion is pink in this case, and you can see they switch at a little later. The silver did not switch until the 13th, as opposed to the 1st with the base Prism. That was the 4th of January on the base Prism, and you can see here on the 6th of January, they were still a pretty decent gap. Ja was going for about 1,400. Zion was going for about 1,660. So the silver had held value much better on the Zion. Once again, population count, very close on these. 1,400 on Zion, 1,265 on Ja. So a difference, but not a massive difference. So let's do the same thing and go back to January. What was that, January 4th we did? Let's go January 4th again and look at it from there. and there's not much gap between them. The Jaw Silver Prism is up 12% compared to 50% on the PSA base Prism. And the Zion is down 12%, and the base Prism is up ever so slightly. So I just found, I don't know what any of this means. I'm not saying that the Morant Silver Prism is a steal at 1600 because the base Prism went up. That's usually not how it works. Usually the I keep saying base Prism. Usually the Silver Prism leads the way on these price charts. Typically, they are the trendsetter. In this case, the base Prism has taken off, and the Silver Prism has been slightly stagnant. So, I mean, why would this be happening? I don't know if it's a matter of that the base Prism is more affordable / attainable, so more people are gobbling that up. The Silver Prism maybe doesn't have as big of a market, doesn't have as many buyers as it once did at a $1,500 price point to drive that price upwards, whereas a $200 to $300 base card has a bigger buyer pool, and they're like, hey man, I need some of this John Morant in my life. What am I going to go for? I'm a newer collector. I'm an entry-level collector. Whatever. They might jump on the base Prism. That's the only thing I could really think of. This just seems weird to me. I am curious for your thoughts about this one, specifically down below, about the base Prism really taking off and the silver not. Is this a potential buying opportunity on the silver Jaw? I don't know. It just seems strange to me that they are this far apart on the base side, but not the silver side. So take that for what it's worth. Like I said, I put my spin on it. Curious for yours. I just found that interesting. And like I said, I don't really know what to draw out of it. One last thing real quick, and then we'll go ahead and get up out of here. Baseball. Baseball is basically doing nothing. Both cards prices and the actual labor negotiations. So we're pretty much going to miss games at this point. It's just a matter of how many. They basically would probably need to come to a deal this week to start spring training on time. I guess they could do a shortened spring training and still start the season on time, but I don't think the owners want to start the season on time, to be quite honest. So I think we are going to lose a few games, and that clock is going to start ticking real quick here because of the lead up time that baseball needs that other sports don't. In the meantime, on the card value side of things, it is as stagnant can get. This is price movement by player. Baseball, PSA 10, and I threw in Topps Chrome, Bowman Chrome, and Bowman to get a good selection, and I limit it to about the last 10 years or so. And then it groups all the players together. It's kind of a mishmash of cards for that player, all that player's cards that are in market movers, but it kind of gives you a very macro level look at what's going on. And you could kind of scroll through here. I have this sorted by percentage change. And look at the names at the top are pretty random. We have Mike Trout and Makata. And then some of the rookies, Jeff McNeil, there's a Nolan Arenado. But look at the prices. Only up 8%, 7%, 10%. Wander Franco, 7%. Tatis, 7%. And very quickly, you get down to zeros and ones. Lubob, a 0% change. This is 30 days worth. So this basically takes us to right after Christmas. Now, last year, January to February, prices went crazy town. And then February, they went really nuts during spring training games on some stuff. Now, different market last year compared to today. So keep that in mind. But baseball just feels like meh right now. It's not going down at all. Prices are holding. I have a lot of baseball right now on my case. A little less because I made a big trade today. But prices are holding very flat on the baseball side and not really spiking up at all. I would be very curious to see what happens if tomorrow a deal is announced and do all of a sudden card prices start to increase. Now, we talked last week, I believe that it was, first Bowmans are still doing great. Soto, Tatis, etc. Their prices, Soto especially, his first Bowman prices continue to escalate on 10s, 9s, BGS 9.5s, the whole 9 yards. Pretty much everybody else is just kind of like, eh. So we'll see what happens as the baseball labor negotiations kick up. They got a lot of stuff to work through. I would really not like to see the baseball season miss games. Hopefully they can get this thing figured out, get like at least a partial spring training in, and start relatively on time, or at least get it announced. Just from a card value perspective, I am curious to see what happens. If games do get delayed and it does cause a dip in the market, I will be looking for buying opportunities on key players. That is for sure. Because it's not like baseball is going away forever. And if you're telling me Soto, Vlad, Tatis, etc., prices are going to dip, if games start getting missed, and I don't know that's going to happen. They might not. But I would definitely be a buyer on some of that stuff depending on the price points. So that's all I have for you guys and girls today. If you're interested in myslabscott.com, go check them out. You're silly not to be listing cards over there if you're listing them on other platforms as well. If you want to check out Market Movers, link in the description down below, along with their new Marvel card editions, and they're going to begin to build out that database. That is exciting stuff. Smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't, and we will catch you guys and girls on the next one. Peace.